Chapter 10, The Fifth Patriarch? Fei Jie slowly frowned, because he believed in that blind man's great strength. He never thought that anything could go wrong with the true qi that Fan Xian practiced, but when he checked his pulse today, he really found something unusual. Seeing the lewd teacher's cautious face, Fan Xian also knew that something wasn't right, and asked with a smile, "Is there something wrong?" Smiling like that, aren't you afraid of going off the deep end? Fei Jie glared at him and said, "Last time, I only knew that the true qi you practiced was overbearing, but I didn't expect it to be overbearing like this." Fan Xian scratched his head. "Overbearing? How overbearing?" Fei Jie replied seriously, "Quite overbearing." Fan Xian looked at him very seriously. "Teacher, we're all talking nonsense." Fei Jie was a great expert in the use of poison, not a martial arts master, so naturally he couldn't tell what kind of routine Fan Xian was practicing with this nameless true qi, but it was obvious that he felt the menace of that true qi in the child's body. After thinking for a while, he advised Fan Xian to go to Five Bamboo, but unexpectedly Fan Xian lamented that Uncle Five Bamboo had only listened to his old mother and given himself this book, and that he had not even practiced it himself, and that he refused to say anything more about it. Fei Jie was furious. The fifth great man has gone too far. As the youngest master of his family, why didn't he teach you himself, instead of letting you learn these feats that are both treacherous and without the guidance of a clear teacher? Over the past year or so, he had long since taken this 5-year-old child in front of him as his greatest comfort in his later years, and was still counting on Fan Xian to take up his mantle in the future and carry forward all that he had learned. So as soon as he heard about this, he began to complain about the blind Five Bamboo. "Is Uncle Five Bamboo very powerful?" Fan Xian asked, narrowing his eyes like a little fox. "Of course he's powerful." Fei Jie leisurely thought about the past. "It's just that there aren't many people in this world who know that the 5 greats exist. You know about the 4 great masters, right?" Fan Xian of course knew that in today's world, the 4 martial arts superpowers that the people worshipped as gods were the 4 great masters, and in a pinch, there were 2 in the kingdom of Qing, 1 in the kingdom of northern Qi, and 1 in the city of eastern Yi. In today's world, the kingdom of Qing, under the leadership of His Majesty the Emperor, has long since gained overwhelming superiority. It's just strange that after the bloodshed of the coup d'état years ago, the country's power resumed. But His Majesty the Emperor has instead laid down the flag, no longer expanding to the outside world. But it was only natural for the strongest country to have 2 super powerhouses within it. Not bad. There are currently 2 grand masters in this country. Fei Jie said with a cold smile, "The world is foolish, only knowing that fighting is powerful. How do they know that once using poison enters the realm of realization, it is also a grandmaster?" Fan Xian hurriedly coughed twice, stopping his teacher from boasting. "If you exclude the most mysterious temples that don't count, of the 4 great patriarchs, Qing got 2 of them, and one of them is the younger brother of the teacher who is now the head of the Kyoto Guard Division, the flowing cloud-scattering hand Yi Luyun." Fan Xian stared wide-eyed, thinking that this name is a bit longer, but the Kyoto Guard Division is responsible for the security of the entire capital area, the most vital position in the whole world, that the division chief's teachers. Younger brother, what's his name, Yi Luyun, could be very strong. There is also a master. I heard that it is in the palace, but no one has seen it. Hey, teacher, we are talking about Uncle Five Bamboo. What's the hurry? Fei Jie glared at him. That Yi Luyun has fought 17 duels in his life and has never lost a single one, but back then, when your mother entered the capital for the first time, because she beat Yi Luyun's nephew, Yi Chong, who is now the head of the Kyoto Guards Division, into a pig's head, Yi Luyun let out the word that he would find trouble with your mother. Fan Xian was dumbfounded, catching on to the fact that his old mom, whom he had never met, was also an arrogant character back then. Fei Jie laughed, but then I don't know what happened. Yi Luyun suddenly stopped caring about this matter, and Yi Chong even ran to the Taiping Baiyan to serve tea to your mother to recognize her mistake. Huh? No one knows what's going on. This matter has been mysterious and ruthless. But it should be that Yi Luyun and Lord Five Bamboo once fought at the root of the imperial city, and the Five Bamboo is your mother's servant, so it's only natural for him to step in for this kind of thing. Faisuk brought up the tea he had on hand and took a sip. Who won in the end? Fan Xian opened his eyes in curiosity. Although he knew that Blind Man 5 Bamboo was a rather powerful and strong person, he could not have imagined that he would have had the experience of dueling Yi Luyun, who was now one of the 4 great masters, back then. No one knows the result, but it should have been a draw. Fei Jie frowned and said, I heard that after Yi Luyun returned to his own sword pavilion, he once practiced his sword for half a year blindfolded with a black cloth, and it was after that time that he abandoned his sword and did not use it, and a set of ancient and simple loose hands became his own, and only then did he truly become a generation of masters, so I think that that battle should have inspired him quite a bit as well. He propped up his small face and thought foolishly, the 4 great masters? Then does Zhu Wu's 5th rank mean the 5th great master? Fan Xian's eyes were bright with peach blossoms, thinking to himself that his own blind servant was so powerful to such a hysterical degree, so who would he be afraid of when he broke into the world in the future? Suddenly a question occurred to him. Teacher, didn't you say that all these things were secret stories? How do you know about it? Fei Jie coldly said, I'm a senior official of the Supervisory Academy. How can this world be a secret to us? For some reason, Fan Xian was always particularly interested in powerful figures in this world, as if he felt that he would always run into those people after a decade or so, so he opened his mouth and asked, Have you seen the other 3 great masters, teacher? The other master of Qing Kingdom only exists in legends. According to the analysis, it should be inside the Imperial Palace, but no one has actually seen it. Fei Jie said, as for the Northern Qi Kingdom's supreme powerhouse, naturally, it's their state master, that perverted bald Bitter Lotus. Bald? Fan Xian thought about the fact that there was no Buddhism in this world, so naturally there were no monks. It's a monk. I heard that back then, Bitter Lotus was an ascetic who once knelt in front of the temple's green stone steps for 3 months, drinking only cold food and dew, and somehow, actually moved the people in the temple, and in this way, he was granted heavenly divine teachings and became a generation of masters. Fei Jie cursed and said, seemingly envious of the ascetic monk called Bitter Lotus, saying, One look and I know that bald head is a liar. Temple of God? A temple of the gods is a temple for the gods. Teacher, you're talking nonsense again. The Temple of the Gods is the most mysterious place in the entire continent, and it is said to be the place where the ancestors made offerings to the gods and goddesses, but it is a pity that except for those sons of bitches who are extremely lucky, no one has been able to find out where the temple actually is, so they don't know what the inside actually looks like. So maybe the temple doesn't even exist? Fei Jie fiercely smacked Fan Xian's little head. It's fine to fool around on weekdays. How can you speak disrespectfully about such a holy and noble place? Fan Xian covered his head and looked at his teacher in surprise, one being surprised that the teacher who never blinked at killing people with poison would actually maintain respect for the temple, and the other being that he found himself actually accepting the 4 great patriarchs and the temple, which seemed to be very somewhat godly, with ease. It seemed that he had really adapted well to this world.